The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, rolling sound here at 316 Gimmick Street. Sam Roberts. Sam, where are you guys going to go get something to eat tonight?
I don't know yet. We're kind of playing this thing by the seat of our pants. I had a few plans coming out here, but it's more, figuring out who was here, and then once this is done, figure it out from there.
Did you have some real hardcore business deals too, or did you just come out and see some friends and network?
I wouldn't say, networking, seeing people that I hadn't seen in a while. I just try to get out here, a couple times a year. No hardcore business deals this time, though.
What do you dig about the West Coast, man? I mean, we got this. Open your window if you want to. Just squeeze that thing at the middle there. Right there in the middle, and over here on the side. Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Oh, here.
And then slide that. There you go.
Look at that.
Feel that breeze coming through that window, mister.
Look into 316 Gimmick Street.
Dang.
Fresh out the courtyard, a fresh breeze. Incredible.
Nothing but the best when you're going to have one of New York's finest over here to break out all the bells and whistles.
That's right.
Had these custom windows put in just for you, Sam.
They look glorious.
Man, I tell you what, we cut a family-friendly podcast a while ago, and I was sitting here, and when Sam got here, we were just feeding the dogs. And I was making a protein shake with a cup of oatmeal in it to get some carbs. I was actually going to eat, but since we had scheduled 4 o'clock, we got to roll sound, brother. So I drank a protein shake, and god dang, I had the biggest pocket of gas. I went to the bathroom and farted for about 30 seconds. Didn't want to blow my cover. I had to act like a nice guy on the family-friendly show, but now that I got that out of the way, I'm ready to rock and roll and go unleashed.
I'm glad it was just gas and you weren't stuck in there for like 25 minutes or so.
Son of a bitch. I didn't think that fart was ever going to end. I got 2 packages dropped over the security gate over there. I was going to get one of my highly trained animals to go fetch that for me, but the door's shut, or I'd put them into action. Sam, what do you want to talk about on the Unleashed podcast? Because I was asking you about some of your favorite WWE people back in the day. And then we segued on and started talking about NWA, Ric Flair, stuff like that. What's the greatest angle you ever saw? What's the greatest match?
Oh, my God, that's a great question. The greatest?
Don't tell me. Did you see Tough Enough a couple years ago?
Yeah, you mean my favorite match of all time?
Yeah.
Alicia Fox and Melina.
Yeah. With all due respect to those girls.
You know what's funny? I interviewed Cameron from the Funkadactyls.
Yep.
And, they don't really mention that she was ever on Tough Enough.
Right.
When she comes out. But that was the first question. I was like, is that really your favorite match? And she has, she's great in the ring, and she's terrific and everything. But now the answer, at least a year or 2 ago, whenever I talked to her, she was like, no, I like other matches too. Yeah. Now, that I go, yeah, but like what? And she was like, Hell in a Cell, Undertaker, Mankind. Get out of here. Get out of here.
She's wonderful. I told her she's beautiful, and she's very articulate and very eloquent. And I told her, I said, you got a place in the business. And she ended up being the only one that
Well, it's funny because I was watching. I love the old Tough Enoughs. I've been watching them on the network. I watched yours. I watched the 2 MTV ones that they put up. But I watched that first episode back, and she was the first to go. And you said, "You're just not tough enough. You're not going to make it in this business."
Off the air, I told her she was going to be in the business.
Huh.
Yeah. No, straight up shoot. And we laugh about that every time we talk. And it's always good to see her when I run into her at a WWE event.
And Alicia Fox Melina was a hell of a match. You got to give it to him.
In its own right, it was. Hey, call me a Savage Steamboat guy from WrestleMania 3 or, Iron Man, Shawn Michaels, Hitman Hart, or go back to any one of the Flair Steamboat matches, or go to Japan, some of the Brody Hansen matches that those guys had with some of the Japanese guys, or Brody Hansen versus the Funks. I got 1,000,000 of them.
Yeah.
So you got one.
I'm trying to avoid Austin matches because I'm not here to blow smoke.
Don't do that.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. But I think that Iron Man
sliding
match,
a $20 bill across the table so that it'll go back to the Austin match. And that was a visual. Caught it on the camera.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we caught it.
Yeah.
I think a couple matches that, for me, kind of changed my perspective on things was the Hart-Michaels Iron Man match. Was the first time, because that was, WrestleMania 12, so I was 12 when I'm watching that.
And then let's stop there, because there was heat between those guys during that match.
Even then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was strong heat between those two guys, and it's an interesting thing because a lot of times people think, oh, man, those guys got heat. It's going to be a good match. Well, like someone's going to impose their will upon the other one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really work that way because, you've got to cooperate within the business of pro wrestling. So when someone really has an axe to grind or a grudge against another guy, by and large, you're setting yourself up for a curtain sellout stinker. Those two guys, being the consummate pros and two badass workers that they are, had a hellacious match.
And a lot of the heat that was around them kind of broke down to this thing of who's better. So they're not going to go out there and not be
good.
Right.
Yeah, because with the two number one talents in the world in the ring at the same time, to do anything less than a 5-star classic would be a disservice to their legacies, to their careers at the time, and to the business in general.
But that match to me is important because at that point, I remember being a kid, and I think Roddy Piper was the general manager or whatever it was at the time, and he announces this 1-hour Iron Man match. And I'm sitting there going, I can't watch a match for an hour. It was a foreign concept to me at that point. And that was the first match that I remember watching, okay, that's wrestling. Like, that's pro wrestling. I respect that match.
Right.
And so that was an important match for me as a fan. And I think...
But to your point, it is a foreign concept because it's like all of a sudden you're trained.
Yeah.
Literally trained on 10-minute matches or a 12-minute match with a break or two.
And when I'm sitting there and I'm expecting, okay, they're probably going to it's probably going to be, the score at the end of the show is going to be like 15-14 or something, just getting falls and submissions and blah, blah, blah. When they go the hour and we had no decisions and I'm sitting there as a 12-year-old fan wanting more, I go, this is something special. This is a different level of wrestling than anything I've ever seen before.
Okay, move to another match.
The next one that was just a different level was the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, the first ladder match. I think it was like a No Mercy, maybe. It was the Terry tournament, the TIT, Terry Invitational tournament. But that match to me completely redefined ladder matches, and it sort of set up a whole era. That was
cursed
the
anybody who was going to have to try to follow that match.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, short of damn near someone getting killed.
Right.
And, man, those dudes, I vaguely remember the match, but they executed everything with extreme precision. The risk that they put themselves through on some fantastic, crazy bumps that I would never even go through my mind if I was hallucinating on mushrooms.
Right.
They really put it all on the line, and it was very, very special.
And I guess the last one, I remember, it's just coming to me because I'm trying to think. It's those feelings that I get after the match. That's kind of what I'm associating this stuff with. And it was when I was in college, so it was probably like the early 2000s. It was an episode of Raw, and it was Shelton Benjamin and Triple H. And I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm 19, 20 years old I must have been at this point, and I am, hands on my head, edge of my seat, because I think Shelton Benjamin is going to beat Triple H. And they went long and near falls, and Shelton Benjamin looked like $1 million.
Right.
And nobody really talks about that match, so maybe it was different but I remember going away from that match with almost like a reinvigorated respect and appreciation for pro wrestling in general.
It was interesting that with the technical knowledge that Shelton Benjamin came to the squared circle with from being in amateur ranks, I thought that guy was really going to catch traction, and I just don't think he I don't know if it wasn't booking. It gave him every opportunity in the world, but just never, he had a successful tag team with one of the Haas brothers, but I just thought he could have had a way better run than he did, given the qualifications and the talent that he possesses.
You have to be a performer on top of an athlete, though. You look at Kurt Angle,
again,
who's this amazing athlete and collegiate wrestler, but what put Kurt Angle far and above everybody else, at least in the beginning, was the promos and the character, and just he embraced pro wrestling.
Right.
And it was something that you had to watch. Whereas Shelton Benjamin, you have to watch his matches, and they're incredible to watch. But what is it, like, what's locking me on about Shelton Benjamin that I can't miss?
See, and then what you just kind of touched upon was, like, you can talk about some of we're sitting in my office. I have a Fender Stratocaster, which is signed by Stevie Ray Vaughan on the wall. The guys, when I went to take a bathroom break, were looking at the guitar and said, man, that's badass. And I told them a story about how I got the guitar. I bring this up because Stevie Ray Vaughan was a guy, first of all, he was a virtuoso, he was a badass, but also he played with such feeling. But you get a lot of guys who are speed burners and like they're technical, but it's like, it's badass.
Yeah.
But it's not as entertaining.
Right. It's not Axl Rose.
So
like I want to go to a show and see Axl Rose, acting like an asshole.
Slash is not a burner.
Right.
When you listen and hear Slash play, that's Slash's signature shit.
Yeah.
And so it resonates with you. And so to your point about the entertaining aspect, I just think if he'd had just a cunt hair more of entertainment built into the body of his work,
yes,
that showmanship could have took him to the next level. And it's always, it's a fine line, and sometimes you find it, you never do. And for me, it was 7.5 years being in the business and being pissed off and, bureaucratic red tape, complacency, and then all this stuff. And I finally found my groove. It took me a long time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You just never got into that groove. I'm certainly not knocking the career of Shelton Benjamin. He's a hell of a worker. I just would like to see more of a run out of him.
Yeah, it was just, it was great to watch, and he was super, super talented. But, you can't say that he reached his potential ever because he didn't.
Right. So other matches, because when you pull that one out of your ass.
I know. I just started thinking about, where did that come from? I guess if I want to go more recent, probably I haven't seen as good a pay-per-view since, I think it was Money in the Bank 2011. It was that CM Punk John Cena match where CM Punk was leaving regardless, and that was the same show where Daniel Bryan won the briefcase.
Right. That
show as a whole, but I think that match, the Cena Punk match, was important, and it's just somewhere I wish that they would go back to, because I'm watching as a guy who's been watching this stuff for 30 years. Like, I've seen everything. I kind of know where everything's going. I go to house shows, and I tell little kids 10 seconds before the match is about to end so they can run up to the front row because I feel the match and understand where it's going. That was one of those matches where I'm like, I don't exactly know where this is going or how they're going to get there. And those moments are so rare these days, especially for me.
No, I was going to look on your website. You were talking to a couple of guys, and I wanted to ask you about them. There you are talking to Triple H. Is this down at NXT?
Yeah, it was last year. I went down to the Performance Center.
What did you think about it?
The Performance Center is amazing. I mean, it's and just watching. What really struck me about being at the Performance Center was not only the whole setup. They've got like 7 rings there, and some of them are specially trained or put together so you could do top rope moves without getting hurt, and this one's set up to do this. They've got an entranceway set up so you can learn how to do entrances. Gym is state-of-the-art and everything. But when we were down there, I think 2K Games sent everybody down there. We were watching a practice. The guys were still practicing and rolling around and stuff, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at the ring, and you've got, at that time, Fergal Devitt, Kevin Steen, and Hideo Kenta. And they're in the ring kind of rolling around like any other student. And I'm like, these are guys that have been, with these massive careers and that have accomplished so much, and they're all just part of this system that's coming together. I was completely fascinated by the idea that even they're sitting there, practicing their roles.
Well, it's interesting, man. I mean, goddamn, those guys that you just mentioned, they have an average of 12 years.
Yeah.
In the ring between them.
Yeah.
If not more. And they're finally, getting to the stage before the big stage. That's a long fucking road sometimes to get there.
And it's interesting what's happening with NXT, I think, because I feel like now it's becoming such a thing that some of these guys are better off just staying in NXT. Probably not for the money.
Right.
But in terms of their careers and what they're going to do with them, some of these guys are better off staying down there, and especially the way they're setting stuff up. Like, I don't see when Kevin Steen is going to come up to the main roster. He was on Raw, but I don't see him being a full-time main roster guy anytime soon, not because he's not ready, but because he's so hot in NXT right now.
Hold that thought, Sam. Hey, could you get that fucking chopper out of here? I'm trying to cut an award-winning podcast with Sam fucking Roberts from New York City. Shit!
I'm glad somebody said. I was about to say it. I don't understand.
Doing? Sam, I was out there this morning lollygagging around, watering tomato plants, and that fucking helicopter was just hovering right above my house.
Is this Goodfellas?
Dude, I'm drinking coffee. I'm not really awake yet. He's just hovering above my house. This is the kind of bullshit that I got to deal with here in Marina Del Rey. When I go to the Broken Skull Ranch, there's only a helicopter on the ranch one time, and that's when I book it to fly my ranch to look at the deer.
Right, and if you see,
it's a no-fly zone.
If you see a helicopter above you, you're allowed to shoot it out of the sky. That's your ranch.
Hey, what did you think about that stupid motherfucker that flew that little gyrocopter on the White House lawn? And they booked him, and they sent him on his way just to go do whatever he's doing. Here's a guy who does what he does and infiltrates the fucking White House.
That's the one spot.
God damn. I mean, we're not going to give him a ticket. We're not going to just throw his ass in jail for 60, 90 days just for the fuck of it.
Throw him in Guantanamo Bay. That's a terrorist attack.
I know you can't shoot him down. I don't want to go crazy here on air. But, I mean, really?
No,
You're going to slap him on the wrist?
I mean, what's going to stop?
The fucking White House.
Yeah, and now everybody hears about us. They're like, let me try to fly something down on the lawn.
What's going to be next?
Right.
You know?
Right. Get those, all those...
Sam, I see the gear spinning in your head right now. You're not going to get any crazy ideas. Hey, how am I going to
they're not crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, so, dude, but if you pull a stunt, it'll blow your show up off the air. If you're going 5 days a week on Sirius XM in New York City, if you did some kind of crazy gag like
what
this,
if we had a
call sign right there, not Sam, you got your old Twitter handle on there.
A gyrocopter above the White House that said hashtag SR show.
Oh,
are you kidding me? Hashtag it.
Hashtag SR. Hashtag I smell money like a motherfucker.
That's right.
See?
Are you kidding me? Everybody's going to be going around asking their kids, what's this SR show I keep hearing about?
God damn it.
Everybody says that's goddamn Sam Roberts.
See, and I would say, man, they booked us at the Steve Austin show at 316 Gimmick Street.
Right. They would see it. They'd go back.
Water for the working man. What are y'all going to do tonight? Are y'all going to go out and eat at a nice restaurant? Or do you drink?
I don't drink. I've never drank.
That's great. I'm going to give you a round of applause for that.
Why is that?
Because, Sam,
you're a guy.
You don't need alcohol as a crutch.
No, I don't need it.
You may need a crutch when I throw you through this window.
But you're a guy who's made a career drinking. Everybody said, and you know what? I was talking to my buddy Troy who's here, and he's not a wrestling fan. But I've gotten him. He's a Stone Cold fan and he's an Undertaker fan. I'm trying to show him stuff that I think.
This is the smartest motherfucker in the room.
But he goes, Sam, I know you don't drink. I go, yeah. He goes, you've never had a drink. I go, no. He goes, well, if that motherfucker offers you a Steve Weiser, that's going down your throat.
I'm actually I was drinking protein and oats. I'm getting ready to tune up for Rubber Skull Challenge. I'd be cracking a beer with you. I tell you what, have you ever talked to Gabriel Iglesias, fluffy guy?
I have. I love him.
He's great, isn't he?
He's great. As a matter of fact, he was on my show, and we hit it off because, we picked up that we were both wrestling fans. I saw him at SummerSlam holding a Money in the Bank briefcase as he tried to get into the L.A. building, the Staples Center. But when he was on my show, I think the story was, I said, have you ever had any sort of great interactions with celebrities that you've been fans of that now that you're kind of this famous comedian? And I think taking a shit in your bathroom was one of his most prideful moments, that he's reached this point in his career where he could take a shit in Stone Cold Steve Austin's bathroom.
That son of a bitch. He said Fluffy 316 said, I just blew up your toilet. He was great. He came over here. He just got a Tesla. Him and his posse came over. And this is at a time when I was fixing to get in shape for another project. But he brought a 6-pack of beer. He brought a fifth of tequila and something else, some whiskey, Jack Daniel's whiskey. So I was sitting there thinking, man, I said, what the fuck? It was like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So I figured, I got to take one for the team here.
Of course.
He's got these cool little shot glasses that are like inverted skulls.
Yeah.
So, man, we got Trash here doing a podcast. He had a designated driver.
Right.
I don't have a real job, so I don't have really anything else to do. So it was great.
Yeah, you don't leave 316 Gimmick Street.
No, man, I got to. So on the podcast, I'm like, who you got coming up next? Obviously this is not going to flow in sequential order, so that there will be advertising. But who are you trying to interview with WWE or anybody in pro wrestling? Because who have you talked to so far?
I got just recently. I got Darren Young's first podcast he's ever done. It was great because he got into his kind of story, not only with wrestling, because he's done, he's part of the Nexus angle, he's sort of all these kind of recent angles, but also being the first openly gay wrestler and being in that locker room.
Are you still wrestling?
Yeah, he's in. Him and Titus are teaming again.
Okay.
But yeah, that story was incredible, and it was great to have him on. And I just wrapped up a whole batch of NXT interviews. So I put Kevin Owens out this week. Got Sasha Banks coming up. Got Enzo and Big Cass. And Finn Balor is going to be on too. But Enzo and Big Cass, have you seen Enzo and Big Cass's deal?
No, well, they're the dudes that...
They're like the New York guys. One of them small and has the leopard print mohawk.
Yeah, those guys are funny as hell.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them work.
Yeah.
I liked a couple of vignettes that I saw that they did.
Yeah. They're really good. They have a very they're very reminiscent of Shawn and Diesel.
So
which is a good thing.
Big show,
I think so. They're the best mic guys on the NXT roster right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, they're different. They feel very contemporary, and they're money.
Man, I tell you what, I've just looked at the product from what I've seen on the WWE Network, and it's a great little arena they got there. It looks like fun. It looks, I'll use my wife told me I used this word too much the other day. It looks organic. The action feels good. Here's the thing that I really like about the NXT product. It's simple. It's to the point. It hasn't been dumbed down like Monday Night Raw has. It's almost like Monday Night Raw is almost like they want to fill in every blank for you, that it's like wrestling for morons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean that, and I'm still with the company, but I'm just saying they've overthought it. And over there, and it's a 1-hour show, I get it. There's a lot of dead space. There's a lot of rewinds, replays, and all that shit packages. But it just feels like they're playing they're acting like the crowd is idiots. Yeah. I like the simplicity and the format of the NXT program.
I'm completely with you on that, because it's an old radio trick that I constantly catch on Raw. That people, when they're trying to teach you format in radio, first of all, the guy teaching you has never done anything in radio. So he's never had a successful show. So if you're going to listen to a guy,
so how's he teaching you?
He's not.
Okay.
He didn't work on the air. Okay. So now he was able to get his way into a management position.
Yeah, we'll keep going with the radio.
And he's trying to tell you what to do, right? Even though he's got no fucking idea, because if he did, he'd be doing a show himself.
Right.
So one of the tricks is you just have to reset up all the time. You have to reintroduce the audience to who you are. You have to, every 5 minutes, say, you're listening to Sam Roberts on the Sam Roberts Show. You're listening to this. You're listening to that. If you're interviewing somebody, every 5 minutes, it's, by the way, we're here with Steve Austin, and Steve, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're never going to catch me doing that bullshit, because it completely disrupts organic conversation.
Right.
You have to figure out a level of comfort with a person before you can get something that's really good for the show. And people want to hear a conversation. But I hear that and bring back that to Raw, because it's almost like I listen to radio shows that have been on the air for 10 years. And I listen to hosts introducing themselves to people as if it's the first time they're tuning in. And as somebody, even if it is my first time tuning in, if I know you've been on the air for 10 years and you're still introducing yourself to people, I can't see you as a show that has done anything noteworthy.
Right.
You know, these guys like your Howard Sterns and your Opie and Anthony's and your shows that have been on the air for a considerable amount of time, they're not introducing themselves. They're known entities. If you don't know who they are, you better find out and just start listening to the show. And when I'm watching Raw, whether it's listening to the commentary or the way they're repackaging stuff that's already happened within the show, it's pretty obvious to me that show is being programmed for non-wrestling fans.
Well, once again, everybody, I'm Steve Austin. I'm talking to Sam Roberts.
God damn it, Steve.
God damn it. I got a bullshit the goddamn it out of Sam Roberts. We're 24 minutes into the Unleashed podcast. Radio tricks to keep introducing things. Let's talk about interviews. You were talking on the Family Friendly show. You're talking about prepping for a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
Sometimes you only got through half material.
Yeah.
So, and gearing up for an interview.
Yeah.
We were talking about someone you interviewed, and they just happened to come by. It was Sean Waltman.
Yeah.
He had been in the city, and he stopped by, and you guys shouted shit, no prep.
Right.
What's your normal prep for talking to people?
Well, Sean Waltman is a guy I know. So it's like I know, especially with, and a lot of wrestlers, I don't need to spend a ton of time prepping, because obviously I've been watching for so long. I know what wrestling fans are interested in. I know.
You know, it's funny, because talking to guys like yourself, like Peter Rosenberg, another guy, I mean, the stuff that you guys watch is so ingrained in your brain. You remember more than the guys that did it.
Right.
Quite honestly, because, I mean, sometimes we're so far in the forest, can't see the trees. But we were doing it, it's like, it's very interesting to talk to you guys.
I spell out your career, and you're going, God damn, I was a big deal, wasn't I?
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking, man, maybe I should get paid more. I need you as my agent. No, but sometimes you forget half the shit.
Yeah, no, yeah. I always try to, even if it's a guy that I know or that I don't feel like I need to prep for, I always try to have notes, just because, you know, when I'm in the middle of an interview, I want to be able to look down and, something pops off the paper, and I go, that's right.
Right.
When it's a celebrity, when it's somebody I don't know, when it's whatever it is, because I get guests all the time, I try to, the night before, spend some time figuring out who they are, figuring out what's interesting, because the worst feeling in the world, and it's happened to me many times, but the worst feeling in the interview world is an interview ending and then reading something or finding something or realizing that's a question that could have opened this whole world.
Right.
That's information and I didn't even ask him. We didn't even come close to it.
Yeah.
And I go, how did that get by me? And then I beat myself up and say it's because I was lazy.
Man, I went down to WrestleMania 30 last year, whenever it was, in New Orleans, and I just, had my room set up and just planning on interviewing, whoever could really round up. Because
right.
It's not like I was really, buddy. I'm always with the WWE, but it's not like, I'm always just calling them and saying, hey, I need this for the podcast, I need that. They're doing everything, I'm doing mine. So it's just kind of like an open door policy. All of a sudden I see Michael P.S. Hayes down there in the green room. I say, hey, man, you want to do the podcast? Well, hell yeah. I'm a big Michael Hayes fan.
Yeah.
And so, all of a sudden, the interview was over, and I hadn't done any prep. Yeah, I saw everything that he did, but I forgot that they blinded Junkyard Dog. All the stuff they did over there, down in New Orleans, Louisiana, working for Bill Watts. Hell, Junkyard Dog was only, the biggest star in the history of Mid-South wrestling.
Yeah.
When you blind the guy, that's a hell of a story. Tell me about the heat. What kind of death threats you get? I've totally missed the boat on that.
But, guys like Michael Hayes, like a guy like Michael Hayes is like a Ric Flair. These guys that have had long careers, and you could spend 6 hours talking to them. Sometimes if you prep too hard, you completely get yourself out of the game, and you just start rushing through question, because you got all this stuff to cover, when it would have been a better interview if you could just focus in on a couple of those things and have a conversation.
Oh, dude, man, back when I first started working out the studios in North Hollywood before they moved them to Beverly Hills, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I got this guy for 2 hours. That's the studio time I had, so I figured that interview would last 2 hours.
Right.
Okay, now I'm trying to get, and these guys, I feel so bad for them because, a couple of my friends, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, they were the guys that I really interviewed when I was green as grass.
Uh-huh.
And, we're trying to go through a 30-year career in 2 hours.
Yes, and you got to hit every single thing there is to hit.
I'm thinking to myself, and I'm watching the clock, and I'm listening to the headphones, and every now and then on a pause or a dead space, I don't like radio silence.
Right.
That's why I kind of talk with a sped-up cadence. This is just the way I talk. But all of a sudden, they start thinking. I'm thinking, okay, man, we got to take this out. You're killing my time. I only got the studio for 2 hours. You got to get to these other points. I can answer the rest of my fucking questions.
Right. You're not even paying attention to the answers anymore.
I'm like, so Kevin keeps telling about his basketball career. So I'm like, and then, and then I'm hammering the point that I want him to get to, so he doesn't. So those guys really helped me out tremendously.
Hi, I'm Jessie Prey.
And I'm Andy Cassette. Welcome to Love Murder, where we unravel the darkest tales of romance turned deadly.
Our episodes are long-form, narrative-driven, and deeply researched. Perfect for the true crime aficionados seeking stories beyond the headlines.
Like the chilling case of Blanche Taylor Moore, the so-called Black Widow who left a trail of poisoned lovers.
Or the shocking murders of Chad Shelton and Dwayne Johnson, where family ties masked a sinister plot.
Subscribe to Love Murder on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
What do you do because you're so comfortable and so with the guys and gals come from the pro wrestling ranks?
Yeah.
And equally, with all the celebrities that you interview. But what is your ice-breaking procedure for someone who would really be a stranger or a celebrity?
Well, I always felt like my opener, which is what got me over with fans, initially, saying what's the haps.
Yeah.
I've said it. I still do it for wrestling interviews. I don't really do it for celebrity interviews anymore.
Yeah.
But when I say what's the haps, it's such a stupid thing to say.
Right.
Doesn't mean anything. It's but it instantly is this thing where it eases tension in the room. You can kind of tell that I know it's stupid.
Right.
And it's kind of like, okay, there's a sense of humor here. The joke's not on you, the wrestler. Yeah. I'm letting you know that I have a sense of humor. It's about me. I'm saying what's the haps. I'm giving you an opening to tell me I'm stupid. And now let's relax and start this thing.
Or the person, this is different, and the guy's not taking himself so serious.
Yeah.
What I'm going to start doing, modeling off Sam Roberts, not Sam on Twitter. I'm going to just start mine off. If I ever get to do some red carpet shit, what I'm doing, I'm just going to say, what the fuck?
That's perfect.
You say, what the fuck?
This is what I want you to try. Say, hey, this is Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm here with Sam Roberts. Sam, what the fuck?
That works.
Try it.
Hey, it's Steve Austin. I'm here at 316 Gimmick Street doing the podcast with Sam Roberts. Sam, what the fuck?
I don't know, Steve. I don't know what the fuck.
And I was going to do this one too, but see, I do this with my wife all the time, and she don't get it. Someone sent me an email, and when the dude was he's kind of street, and so he always tells me, Steve, what it do? So I was thinking about what it do, and I like the way that sounds.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a T-shirt with that, but if I just threw it out there.
What it do?
Because I just saw on your website you were talking to George Takei from Star Trek.
Yes.
And I'm a huge Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
Love Star Trek. Star Wars, all that, but Star Trek, that was a good shit.
You're a Star Trek guy.
Oh, yeah, especially like, when Captain Kirk was fighting that alligator monster on, out there on the rocks, on the Vasquez Rocks out here about 50 miles out of L.A. We filmed Broken Skull Challenge not too far from there. What was that monster called? Do you remember?
Oh, it's escaping me, but
anyway,
I know exactly.
But you know what I'm saying. But so, like if I was sitting there interviewing William Shatner and said, hey, Bill, what it do? He's going to shit the bed. I mean, he's quick on his feet, too.
Yeah.
Pretty sharp cat.
I don't know. I kind of like that.
Still works as hard as he does.
He's all over the place. He's always got a new project he's doing.
Love it.
A documentary, whatever. But George Takei is the same way. He's always got something going on.
What's he doing? Because Shatner was the driving force. Now, don't get me wrong, Nimoy and all that too. But it was probably harder for George Takei to find the gigs that William Shatner was finding.
Oh yeah, but George, he had just done when I interviewed him. He had just done this documentary. It's on Netflix. You definitely should check it out because it's just going over his life. And I mean, it goes from he's a fascinating guy because it goes from his family being in Japanese internment camps, World War II. It goes into acting. It goes into, being around in the 70s. It goes into coming out of the closet. It goes into Star Trek fans. It goes in. He's got all these different elements of his life that you could easily hone in on any one of them, and you've got an amazing conversation. The fact that he's got all this going on at once in this crazy person's head is pretty amazing.
So how long did you talk to him for?
I only had him for probably 30 minutes or so, but I could have done 2 hours.
Phaser set to stun or kill?
Kill.
See what it did
Always.
there? Talking Star Trek. I always like when they had to dial them back.
Yeah.
Phaser set to stun. Hey, fuck stun. If you're going to stun somebody, you got to ring them up. Lights out. 1, 2, 3.
That's it.
Sam, am I right or am I wrong?
Because Stone Cold Stun was set to kill.
What it do? I'm talking with Sam Roberts. My name is Steve Austin. You're listening to the Steve Austin Show on PodcastOne.com. I'm coming back after I take a break for the sponsors to keep this show on the air for free, because if you had to pay for it, you wouldn't and wouldn't have a fucking job.
Right.
All right, coming right back with Sam Roberts. Hey, if you're a runner, a weightlifter, a triathlete, maybe you're into CrossFit or hiking, whatever activity you're into, you know that injuries are a fact of life. And if you don't want to slow down for ice therapy, then you need to get Arctic Ease Instant Cold Wraps. You've never experienced anything like Arctic Ease before. It's cold therapy you use while you're still active. Run, bike, lift, and keep your joints and muscles wrapped and cool. Arctic Ease wraps stay in place while giving you similar recovery benefits to ice therapy. And here's the surprising thing. No freezer needed. Arctic Ease wraps fit comfortably under your clothes with no bulky ice. And they're reusable, too. And they're clinically tested and proven effective. Just put Arctic Ease on and you have targeted instant cold and compression therapy where you need it before, during, and after exercise. For pain, swelling, and injuries, you can safely use Arctic Ease for instant, long-lasting cold compression therapy even while you're training. You've got to try it to believe it. So don't put your training on ice. Get reusable Arctic Ease cold wraps at CVS Pharmacy and get instant cooling relief when and where you need it. Or visit ArcticEase.com.
Steve Austin. Unleashed.
All right, Sam, so when we left off, Phaser set to stun.
Right.
Do you enjoy talking to the boys more so than regular people, or just anybody and everybody is your cup of tea because you want to cover a wide demographic?
Yeah, I wouldn't like talking to wrestlers as much if it was all I was doing. I like to know that there's a lot going on and blah, 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 but my favorite thing is to talk to wrestlers, and that's because most of what I do is motivated by when I was 14 or 15, what I think I was cool. Like, at 31, I just want to be cool to my 14 or 15-year-old self.
Right.
So my 14 or 15-year-old self would just want me to interview wrestlers all the time. He'd want me to be on Gimmick Street. He'd want me to be talking to the NXT guys in Philly. He'd want, so that's what gets me, excited from a fan perspective, but I'm also always thinking about from a business perspective and what do I have to do to get Sam Roberts out as far and as big as I can, and that means kind of knowing everything that's going on.
Hey, man, being on the radio 5 days a week, 3 hours sounds like a bitch.
Yeah.
With respect to work.
Well, you know what? The problem is that if you're not – I haven't had a career that's developed – I need to develop an audience through radio and through doing shows like this. So I need to be on consistently every day and give people a reason to watch. Podcasting is like you can knock out, you're doing 2 a week, which is more than most people, but so many podcasters have had other careers. So you have an audience. You have an audience before you go into podcasting. It grows because of the podcast thing, but that enables you to not have to do this bullshit 5 days a week, weekend off. Like you can take a day off. You can put a couple in the can, you know?
No, but my point was, but that's what you do is radio.
Right.
I'm just talking about the grind because it's like, back in the day before I got in the business of pro wrestling, man, I'm driving a forklift. I'm loading and unloading trucks.
Sure.
I'm pushing heavy shit
Sure.
down a freight dock. I'm digging ditches. I'm doing that shit. It's hard work, but it's in a different degree.
Right.
If you ain't got your prep down, if you ain't got your brain work, if you ain't in tune with what the fuck's going on, you can shit the bed real fast in 3 hours.
It's really easy, and especially once, from being out in front of crowds, like once you start to slip, it's a downward spiral, and it's hard to pick yourself back up. It's one of those things that you just... Radio I like because you're not in front of a live audience, and I can convince myself that even if I'm starting to shit the bed, I can convince myself that somewhere someone's laughing at it. And as long as I have that, then I can usually get myself back on a roll to something that... Now, if I was in front of a live audience, and it's just dead, it's just silence, it's crickets, it's impossible to come back from that.
See, here's the thing that I think is cool is being live on the radio because I like being live on television.
Yeah.
It's cool as a motherfucker to me. And like doing a podcast, man, sometimes I'll be in here and maybe, it was Josh Barnett last week or maybe it's you and I'm sitting there trying to come up with the open of the show, which, the interview might have been done a week ago, but now I got to get my reads and do my 10 minutes of material. And,
right.
Sometimes I really ain't got that much because there ain't been much going on. And so I just don't. But my point is I'll come in here and just sitting right here, hit this stop and record button. I'll get 30 seconds in, blow it. Get a minute and a half in, blow it. 5 in, blow it. My wife's in there. I got these doors. Those 3 glass doors behind you, Sam, are from China. I thought when we ordered them in Santa Monica that they would be from America.
Yeah.
Goddamn, if I'd have known these from China, I'd have bought some doors somewhere else.
Right.
Anyway, so I got those doors from China, slid closed. People from the podcast know the story. And my wife will be in there because she can hear me. She goes, just keep going. Why did you stop? That sounded good.
Yeah.
You're trying too hard.
Yeah.
But, when you go live, dude, you ain't got time to because if you're thinking you're stinking, and sometimes that's what I do here.
That recorder is a safety net. And you're sitting there going like the minute you start saying, oh, I didn't like that line, then you start saying, I didn't like any of the lines. Well, I didn't like that whole thing.
I don't like it when I told the story.
Right. You could just stop and then start again. And honestly, the first thing you did was probably better.
Yeah.
Like where you were going, you could slip up, acknowledge the slip up. When I do podcasts, like the wrestling podcast that I do, I do it like I do a radio show. So generally my wrestling podcast goes interview. I do maybe a 2-minute intro, then go right to the interview, and then do 20, 30 minutes, however much time I have left on what's going on with wrestling right now. And when I do that monologue at the end of it on what's going on with wrestling right now, I just put the mic on. I won't edit any of it. I won't redo it. Like, this is just what it is. If I'm going to pause, if I stutter, if I say, oh, that doesn't make any sense, actually what I think is it all stays.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's the best possible way to do it. Because otherwise, you could just keep going back and keep thinking, oh, fuck that. No, let me try this again. Let me try that again. And you'll never be done. Dude,
you outwork yourself trying to look for perfection or what you think was better. Here's the thing, dude. You did the Family Friendly show, and now we're on the Unleashed show, and we've covered all the Sirius XM stuff. We talked about the Sam Roberts Wrestling podcast, but there's different platforms for the podcast. I'm with PodcastOne, and I'm also on iTunes. How do people find and listen to your podcast, and why are you on the platform you're on? Why don't you give me your answer?
Well, my podcast is independent, so it's no network, no nothing. I just do it and put it out there, and I do it myself, and that's it. So it's on
where?
It's on iTunes.
Okay.
You can get it on iTunes. You can get it on Stitcher. You can get it on notsam.com. Anywhere podcasts are available, you can find it. But there is no sort of PodcastOne network thing. It's just me doing it every week and putting it out there.
So, dude, why did you decide to do a podcast when you're in radio?
I didn't want to do because I started doing a podcast probably 2 or 3 years ago, and it was just me by myself for 40 to 60 minutes a week, shooting the shit. That's it.
Dude, you just love to talk.
Well, I wanted. You know what I wanted to do?
Fuck.
I wanted to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
I wanted to force myself to just do the exercise, so that because I always have this thing of I want to be able to, no matter what you throw at me, I'm going to be able to survive. So I have, when I'm doing a radio show, I have talented people that I keep around me, and I like having them on the show, and I want them on the show. But I want to know for myself that if everybody cancels on me, I'm going in there by myself, and I'm still going to do it, and it's still going to be good. So I started doing the podcast with just me, just to hone my skill on that level, just to get out an hour at least a week of just shooting the shit about something.
Right.
Like there was no
choice.
choice.
You ever go into your podcast, and I know what your answer is going to be because you're on radio, but do you ever go in your podcast and all of a sudden you hit a wall, or it's like the material or the flow is not as abundant or free-flowing as I thought it would be, and I need some WD-40 to squirt on my brain?
Absolutely, but I always over-prep. So I think to myself, okay, my prep thing is I start going through a list of what I want to do on the show. And then I figure out how long each of those things is going to last. So if I want to talk about Obama said this, and I found this angle on it, I'm like, I could riff on that for 10 minutes. Honestly, I could probably riff on it for 15 or 20 minutes. But I say 10 minutes. Right. And I allocate 10 minutes to this and allocate 10 minutes to that. So what happens is, I mean, it would have to go catastrophically bad for me to really run out of stuff on this list of things that I have. And odds are I'll only get, 30% through it, which is a good thing, and that's the way I want to feel after a 3-hour show, that I didn't even scratch the surface, and I got all this ready for the next one if I want.
And so you're doing one podcast a week?
I do one a week. People have talked about doing 2 a week, where it's like I'll do an interview 1 week, and then I'll do an interview, and then I'll do my State of Wrestling segment as 2 separate podcasts. But as of now, I'm doing 5-day-a-week radio show. 1 wrestling podcast a week is enough.
Dude, it is.
Hi, I'm Jessie Prey.
And I'm Andy Cassette. Welcome to Love Murder, where we unravel the darkest tales of romance turned deadly.
Our episodes are long-form, narrative-driven, and deeply researched. Perfect for the true crime aficionados seeking stories beyond the headlines.
Like the chilling case of Blanche Taylor Moore, the so-called Black Widow who left a trail of poisoned lovers.
Or the shocking murders of Chad Shelton and Dwayne Johnson, where family ties masked a sinister plot.
Subscribe to Love Murder on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
He's got a little bit of time on his hands. He goes around doing his one-man shows and stuff. And I said, they're always looking for more content. You could do 2 shows a week. And, I think he's flirted with the idea, but he's so busy doing other things.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, Jim, do the 1 show a week for a while and digest it. Make sure you're into the system and you know what you're doing, because when you decide to do 2, it's not twice as much work. It's almost 3 times as much work, or it's at least 2.5 times. It ain't just twice.
Right.
It's exponentially more.
Yeah. Do you have anybody that helps you with research? Like, do you have producers?
No.
You got to get somebody. Just hire a kid to fucking research your people.
Offer, but that shit costs money, man. I'm too damn cheap.
Yeah.
We'll talk about. We'll talk about that off the air.
You could get a college kid to do it.
Yeah, I know, but at the end of the day,
who doesn't want to intern? If I had known Stone Cold needed interns when I was in Syracuse, fuck Opie and Anthony, I'm going to go intern for Stone Cold.
Yes, I do all the shit myself, and I really probably could use some help. Maybe I'll get some help on that. But that being said, that's when I just throw out the, hey man, send me some questions, SteveAustinShow.com, and I get a bunch of questions. I'll just roll through and answer, and so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, but I've seen you at a couple of events. When do you get a chance to go out? And was the stuff that I saw you at, like WrestleMania 30, back in New Orleans?
Yeah.
And we shot the shit with Kevin and just backstage. Yeah. But, was that a serious thing they send you down, that you being a fan? You going down to get some podcasts done?
Well, I work at all.
Did you do some on-camera stuff, too?
Yeah,
Don't you do something with WWE?
Yeah, I do stuff with the network.
Yeah.
I do the Countdown show, and they're changing that. And I'm always figuring out stuff to do with them, which is awesome. That's what I mean. Like, I love working with WWE, and I love being on the line. Like, I don't need to be a WWE employee,
right,
but I love being right there at the precipice. I feel like I'm as close as anybody can get.
Yeah,
and
this way you can't be future endeavored.
Right, but it's also like I get to be a fan,
right,
and I get to be a part of it, and it's an amazing thing. And WWE has been so good to me. Like, just give me access, give me what I need, just help me out with everything. Some of the guys over there are just amazing. But yeah, when I do a trip like that, I'll try to figure out as many different angles as I can hit it. Like I always try to, if I've got 3 days out in New Orleans and WWE is doing a bunch of stuff, I'm trying to get as much content as I can. Like I'll do a month's worth of content in 3 days, just whether it's for the podcast and the satellite radio show, and that's going to be on YouTube, and I'm going to film that for the network, and whatever it is. You know, we did that when me and my friend Katie went down to NXT. You know, we were there. We went to NXT in Albany, in Philly and Albany. We did like 36 hours and ended up with whatever content that's going to last over the next month.
But, dude, so when you go through all this stuff, I mean, you're enjoying it and you're taking it in as a fan, but also as a broadcaster, podcaster, I mean, you're soaking all this shit in so you can regurgitate it and
it's a matter
of material.
There's so much like compartmentalizing because I'm sitting there going,
constantly taking notes, or you're one of those guys who can scan everything and remember it?
No, I got to remember stuff, but I can't take notes at times because I'm sitting there going like, okay, right now I got first things up is interviews with the guys. I'm going to use this on my radio show, so I got to concentrate on that and focus on the radio show. Then after that, I'm filming something for the network or I'm doing something for my podcast. Got to concentrate on that. By the time the show actually starts and I'm sitting in the audience, I'm like, I just need to enjoy the show right now. I just need to decompress and just relax because I'm exhausted by the end of it.
All right, you're 31. You're going 5 days a week on Sirius XM. What's the 5-year plan?
I think there's just so much going on with multimedia. And I feel like the radio show is where I go to develop, like I was saying earlier, is really develop an audience of people that are invested in Sam Roberts. I'm interested in what Sam Roberts is doing. I'm interested in what Sam Roberts is saying. I think there's some stories to tell in the life of Sam Roberts. Anybody who went from, you know, his mom threatening to not let him watch wrestling because Stone Cold was coming out with a beer truck, who ends up on 316 Gimmick Street has a story to tell, right?
So was I pushing the edge a little aggressively on a creative end, and your mom?
Oh my God!
Bosh on it?
I had conversations with my parents during your run specifically that they said like, Sam, we can't do it because you've been watching wrestling forever. But if you had just turned this on, we'd never let you watch it. My
mom used to kid me, and she was kidding, but she goes, Steve, back in the day, I wouldn't let you watch you. Yeah. And I was like, come on, man, it wasn't that damn easy.
I mean, I go back and watch it now going, I don't know how I got away with watching this as a kid.
I mean, it didn't seem that edgy. But tell me about the YouTube channel, because you got a YouTube channel. We ain't even talked about that. What's that all about?
Well, that's where it all started, especially with the wrestling audience. I upload a bunch of stuff from my radio show, try to get most of, if not all, my interviews up there. And there's two separate audiences, I find. Like, I'll put a podcast out, and then a week later, 2 weeks later, put the video up of the podcast I just put out, and it's thousands of people watching this YouTube video that have never heard the podcast. Right. Or it's everybody listening to this podcast that are never going to watch the YouTube video.
And basically your motivation is just trying to build the Sam Roberts presence and brand.
Right, and get that hair out there, too. My hair,
you
got to know what the gimmick is.
Man, I got fucked on the hair.
You did.
If I could rock a do like that, I smell money.
You tried. Stunning Steve had the long, flowing...
Dude, you would... Back in Edna, Texas, I'd grown up, there was 2 drugstores in town. We walked to the drugstore and this one when they had a real fountain Coke, right? Mm-hmm. It went before your days. And the old ladies would stop in the aisle and say, oh, is that your natural hair or do you bleach it? Fuck, I was a 13-year-old kid. Of course, it's my natural hair. I ain't bleaching this shit while I'm in fucking junior high.
Right.
So I just didn't get the lifetime guarantee.
Yeah.
I got fucked.
Well, yeah, but you do bald well.
Yeah.
You turned it into a thing.
Got lucky on the shape of the dome.
Like, for me, I could not pull off bald. It's going to be...
You might have to, man.
I know.
If your hair starts receding, man, and you're rocking a horseshoe...
It's not good.
At some point, you got to let it go.
Yeah. It's going to be a disaster if I do, though.
Hey, I was looking on your website. You talked to a lot of interesting people. The podcast is the Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast. It's awesome because Sam knows his shit. He's been watching wrestling for a long time. So you do a great job with it. And I always enjoy talking to you every time we run into each other at some of these gigs. You got a chance to talk to Sting. What was the icon up to? How was that?
I got a chance to talk to him.
Hold for fire truck. People being killed in the background. Go for it.
You really do. You live on the outskirts of town.
Dude, this is mayhem. Dude.
This is the Wild West.
This is why I don't have no fucking hair. So we were talking about Sting.
Yeah, I got him. That was SummerSlam weekend. This past SummerSlam weekend. So it was before WrestleMania had announced. It was before any of this. It was to promote the video game. It was his first venture into WWE. And that was one of those things where I go, okay, I think I'm going to get 5 minutes with Sting. I'm going to try to stretch it to about 7. And I'm like, all right, what am I going to get out of Sting? Like, what am I, everybody, first of all, I don't need another thing where he says I want to wrestle The Undertaker. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So I go, okay, I got to ask him something current, and then I got to ask him. So, I ended up asking him if he would, want to get in the ring with somebody like Bray Wyatt, because to me, a Sting-Bray Wyatt match is money, but, I think Bray Wyatt could work with anyone. And then I was like, okay, like what from his past am I going to ask him about? I said, I don't have a lot of time. Let me just ask him about the finish from Starrcade 97. What am I naturally curious about? And I'm curious about the fact that there was a 1.5-year build. It was the best build WCW ever did, and it was one of the lousiest finishes they ever did. The Hogan-Sting build was the biggest thing in wrestling, and then for it to just have kind of a schmoz finish was just like, what? That's it?
Say.
He said he was disappointed by the finish, and I was satisfied.
So what was the finish? Because I don't remember.
It was, well, you remember that was when Sting first became Crow Sting, and he went up in the bleachers, and he was silent, and all this stuff. And the ending ended up being they just hired Bret Hart. So Bret Hart is like, turns into a special guest referee, and he does I think Sting ended up winning the title with a fast count from Bret Hart. And you didn't know what Bret's motivation was. Right. You didn't know why Sting just spent a 1.5 year building to a match that he had to win from a fast count when he's the babyface.
Right.
It was a disaster. And I think that was kind of the beginning of the spiral for WCW.
What did you think about Bret Hart's run in WCW? Because anybody who knows my podcast knows that I'm the biggest Bret Hart fan in the world.
Love him.
And I love the guy and respect the man. And goddamn, what a worker in the ring. It seemed to me like he never fit in down there, and I think it was booking. I think it was a setting. I think he was a WWF guy through and through. What did you think about his run? Because I was disappointed in it, but I don't think that the booking really knew what the hell to do with Bret Hart.
Yeah, I thought it was thoroughly disappointing, and Bret Hart. The reason Vince McMahon was the biggest star in wrestling was because of Bret Hart. Bret Hart was the biggest star in wrestling. Like, Bret Hart was the antithesis now of Vince McMahon, and now he's in the rival promotion. And you think you can do this thing, but I think you're 100% right. I think they signed Bret Hart because he's a name.
Yeah.
No clue what to do with him when he got there.
Just wanted him because his name, just to take a piece off of the chess table.
Right.
If WCW versus WWF chess, take one of the pieces off the table.
Right. They didn't want to make him a bigger star than Hogan, and they didn't want to make a bigger star than Goldberg or a bigger star than Sting, and it's like, well, what do you need Bret Hart for then? He's the biggest star in wrestling. I was disappointed. I think, Bret felt like he was frustrated. He was never able to get any kind of ground to run on, and then for it to end kind of abruptly and for all the tragedy to be happening around his family at the same time was just like, what a disastrous thing.
Man, I remember when the screw job went down, and I was like, man, dude, what the fuck are we going to do, man? It's our world champion. That's Bret Hart.
Right.
And then when he left, I think, man, it's Bret Hart. And because I just thought so much of the guy, and he had a great career, but I didn't like the way it ended.
Did that make you question the business at all, or did you think that was Bret Hart? Like, did you start to think, I never thought that, like, I'm working for Vince McMahon. I'm working for WWE. Like, this is the place. I didn't think that we were still doing this sort of, backhanded switch it in the ring.
Business was business.
Yeah.
I mean, just one of those things that happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes the things that happen are actually so out there or crazy. I mean, you're willing to accept anything. And certainly, as long as the guy was there, I just thought, my thinking was, man, the two have been together so long, you just don't split up for no reason. I mean, sometimes they say you can wear out your welcome. There's no way Bret Hart could wear out his welcome, especially with respect to the talent that he had. Because, from a performer standpoint, you always want to be on top. But sometimes we know we got to step down, and other guys are going to take the top. So, I don't know what's going on with Bret's head with that, but there's always a spot for a guy with the talent that he has because, he had another 3, 4, 5 years left in him.
Yeah.
His knees are bothering him a little bit, I think. He had that knee shaved down. But, to me, you use him as long as you can. And
he seemed like he knew how to wrestle in a style that he could adapt around a knee injury. He could figure out how to, the knees aren't as good as they used to be, so let me start doing more of this and less of that.
Hey, man, so going back then before we wrap this thing up, what'd you like about Bret Hart?
My favorite Bret Hart was the heel Bret Hart, was the Canadian Bret Hart, was the Hart Foundation Bret Hart at the end of his run.
Right.
Because, I always liked Bret Hart as a kid, But I'm a kid, I like the flashy stuff. I like the promo. I like I like Randy Savage. And it wasn't, I didn't respect Randy Savage's in-ring until later on when I could actually respect it.
Right.
But when Bret Hart got to be more of the bitter side of Bret Hart, and you got to show that off, and there was realness in there.
Damn right there was.
And when he got to do that, even before he was the anti-American Bret Hart, when he was just fed up with Vince, and he was fed up with his booking, and they were doing it on TV, there was nothing that got my attention quicker than Bret Hart at that moment.
Man, I never forget going to the ring with that guy, and his music starts with that guitar rip, that chord, whatever it is, and it slides down the neck of the guitar, and all of a sudden they do the sparklers or pyro, whatever it was called. But I just remember always being in the ring just because I was normally the guy that was already in the ring, and Bret was going to come out second.
Right.
And so I got a chance to always experience the pop and the explosion and that adrenaline rush that came with that searing guitar riff, and all of a sudden he comes out and it's just like, dude, there's nothing like it. You get yoked on your own pop because that's signifying you, and that validates you and that amps you up and fuels you and gives you confidence or takes it away depending on your reception. But all of a sudden when that guy comes out and you've respected his body of work for so long, and now you're about to be in the ring doing business with him, it's a real charge. I'll never forget, all the times I worked with him, working with Shawn Michaels, it was very special as well. I'll never forget the one time I worked with The Undertaker. I was starting to get pretty hot. I was coming around. Of course, I worked with Taker a long time ago in World Class Championship Wrestling. He was in the business about a year and a half before me. And that didn't really mean anything. I was just a green guy who sucked against a guy who's a little bit of a, rookie himself. First time Undertaker comes out, and this is when they were dimming the lights. They smoked up the entrance. Everybody threw their lighters up, and I was thinking, I had I have my hand in front of me, and it's spread out, and that was like a fishbone. There was the fingers. I knew things that I wanted to do. We'd fill in the gaps, once we get out there. So I knew a couple of things I wanted to lead the direction of the match. Soon as that music hit, bong, here comes the Undertaker. I forgot everything that I thought I wanted to do. And people always use that word surreal. I hate that word, but that's the word I'd have to use. And mind-numbing, because I forgot every goddamn thing I thought I was going to do. We locked up and called it in the ring, but it was a hell of an experience.
Yeah, and you'd like to think at that point in your career, nothing phases you. You've been in the business for as long as you've been in the business, and then that gong hits, and you're like every kid in the front row, like, oh.
Hey, well, you're a young cat right now. And when going back 20 years, man, that's how long Taker's been in WWF, over 20 now. So you were, 10, 11 when he made his debut?
Yeah, I remember my first live.
He was scary as fuck back then.
Oh, my God, was he? The first time I saw him live, the first live show I ever went to was in Wembley in 92.
Yeah.
When they did SummerSlam out there. And The Undertaker drove to the ring in a hearse.
Yeah.
And he got out of the hearse, and he just stands, and he's the Undertaker, and he's still doing the trench coat and the gray tie, and he's, and it's in front of 80, 90,000 people, whatever it was in Wembley, and it was just silence and eerie, and I'm this 8-year-old kid who can't believe what I'm seeing.
Dude, if you go back on YouTube, and I do it every now and then just for kicks, watch some of those first WrestleManias he was in or SummerSlams. There's one tag match, I can't remember. He tagged in and he remained strong the entire match. But a couple of times, he spiked some people with his finish. Mm-hmm. But just with the way he's doing, the way he walked around that ring, it was almost like when they gave him that character, it was almost like it was destined to be, or he was the Undertaker in another life, because there was almost no adaptation period.
No, right from the beginning, he's working with Warriors almost as soon as he gets to the company. He hasn't been there a year, and he's already working with Warrior, and he's working with Hogan.
But he already had the persona down.
Yeah.
He had the movements down, the character. It was like a natural fit for him. But, and the thing, they kind of had that little bit of makeup on him underneath his eyes, and he was in that black, purple, and, of course, he's big as fuck anyway. And if you looked at the few front rows of kids, look at them. Yeah. They're petrified.
Oh, my God.
They were shoot scared. That's how badass it was.
Yeah.
And I remember because, I broke in with him, and I was down in WCW, and he goes off and goes to the WWF. I'm down there still trying to be a mechanic in the ring and learn the business. And all of a sudden, they light his ass up. And everybody knew, based on his athletic ability, because of all the things he could do, his size, his looks, his build, Everybody knew the guy was ultimately going to be money,
right?
But nobody knew what to do to make him money. And all of a sudden, Vince comes up with the Undertaker. Vince comes up with the Undertaker gig, puts a plus sign, and then plugs in Mark Calloway, whatever his name is, and boom, that equals money.
That's it, and that was it, and that's one of those sort of rare things where it's just everything fits together, and you never want anything else from him. Like, oh, that's the Undertaker now and forever.
So what did you think about the match with Bray Wyatt at 31?
I thought it was amazing. I mean, that match sold me on Bray Wyatt as, to me, I think Bray Wyatt's the best guy in the company right now.
Come on.
That's my thing.
Sam.
What?
Bray Wyatt's the best guy in the company right now.
Who's the best?
John Cena.
Best in the ring. Best worker. Best all around. I mean,
which best all around?
Yeah.
I go Neville.
You would go Neville over Bray Wyatt all around.
Work in the ring? No. You talking about a promo? No,
I'm talking about performer. Because here's what I'm thinking. Here's why I said Bray Wyatt. Number one, the promo. He can talk people into a building.
No.
You don't think so? You don't think Bray Wyatt can get people?
Can he cut a promo? Yes.
Yeah.
You talk him into the building right now? No. They let him get too long-winded.
Huh.
He's talking you into the building.
Yeah.
Okay. So
maybe I'm blinded by it. Maybe it's just me.
He's got 50% of the crowd here.
Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. First of all, I love what Bray Wyatt's done. I was cheering for him when he was Husky Harris because he was a heavy-set guy without the great bodies that everybody else had. So I was already on his side back in. Okay, the gimmick didn't work out so good. He comes up with Bray Wyatt. I love it. Southern drawl. I love the promos. But here's the thing. When you go out there and just cut long-winded promos because they need time, you just out-talk yourself and talk yourself into the ground because there's no point.
So you feel like they just sent him out there, they want to fill 12 minutes.
You've got to have an opposing force.
Yeah.
If he's responding to a promo or someone's responding to his promo, that's one thing.
Right.
But when you sit there and just go and go and go and then laugh about everything, and I'm not really digging into your skin, or there's no reaction, or it's all follow the buzzards. Not so fast, my friend.
He's not telling enough of a story for you.
You can give a guy enough rope, he'll hang himself verbally. And I think that's what they did with the character.
I think when I was watching,
I love Bray Wyatt,
right,
and I like his work. He can take it to another level. But didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I'm not shitting on Bray Wyatt, but he's not talking people into the building.
I also think that the way he performs in the ring, the whole thing is telling a story. The way he's moving his body, he's doing things that nobody else is doing. And maybe it's just because I'm such an appreciator of characters and the entertainment aspect of it.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
As a person who's been watching the business for as long as you have, the business is entirely subjective.
Yes.
My good friend, Zach Wild from Black Label Society, is the biggest Ultimate Warrior fan in the world. That's his favorite pro wrestler. Here's the thing. Warrior's not really a technical guy. A lot of people crapped on his promos. I loved his promos because his promos were true to the character of the Warrior. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about outer space and spaceships and gassing the thing up and all that other stuff. I dug it because it only solidified what he was, which is kind of like, like a fantasy or cartoon character come to life with all this energy. So the fact that if you ask any top guy in the business, who's your favorite wrestler, 99% of the time they're not going to say Ultimate Warrior.
Right.
Many times they'll say Ric Flair. A couple will reference Hogan. Maybe my name might get tossed in there, but I'm talking about your pure workers, the guys that really top guys talk about.
Yeah.
They're not going to say Warrior. But to your point, that's what I'm trying to say, with what you see or resonate with Bray Wyatt is what you dig. So there's no right or wrong answer.
Of course.
I'm just stating my point.
But to me, the storytelling, especially in that Undertaker match, I just felt like there's a story to me that was being told through his body language, through his movements, through the way he was reacting, to the way he was doing stuff to the Undertaker, just the way he was walking, the way he was looking. Everything felt so true to the character, and I felt like Bray was on a different level that night and has been for some time than, to me, anybody else on the roster.
So does he have heat as a heel to you?
That's a weird thing. That's an interesting question. I'm not sure that he does have no, because when you're walking to the ring and everybody's got their lighter up or their cell phone up or whatever it is, I don't think he is a pure heel. I don't think he's a true heel.
So then what do you do with him?
Right now, where does he go after Ryback? The Ryback thing, I didn't do anything for me except
that was one of the matches where, with respect to both guys, they worked their asses off. They really tried hard, but the match didn't work.
Right.
So
I thought that, they were fine, but I thought the story didn't work, which is going back to the story. I didn't know why what's his problem with Ryback. I thought that what they could have done was, Ryback has been talking so much about reading The Secret and power of positive thinking and all this stuff. If Bray starts to hone in on attacking the power of positive thinking or whatever Ryback was doing with that, then maybe you've got a story, but they didn't do that. There wasn't really a story. He was kind of going back to his Undertaker promos about the face of fear and just doing it to Ryback, which, I didn't.
Have you talked to Bray Wyatt yet on the podcast?
Yeah. And I love having Bray Wyatt on because he does this thing where he kind of his real life and character are kind of molded together. He doesn't. It's hard to say it's a true shoot interview, but he's also not cheesy or in character.
No. I really enjoyed talking to him. I had a phone call with him, and our connection sucked. But I was really took a liking to just him, his story, and whatever you're getting out of him. Like you said, sometimes flowing in and out of character. Nonetheless, I like the guy. And again, I'm being 15 years removed from the business, from where I was when I look at it and assess what I see. That's what I'm saying. Certainly not running the guy down, but certainly I think with respect to the fact that they have a 3-hour live show every goddamn week, it's really tough on a lot of the guys. And sometimes, and I heard this from somebody, I can't remember who it was, but sometimes just they need time, so they'll tell X wrestler to go out there and we need you to talk this long, because I brought someone up specifically and they said, Steve, here's what happens sometimes when they get in a crunch. So maybe that's what happened.
Maybe.
Sometimes, dude, if you're just out there flapping your gums, okay, here's the deal.
Yeah.
I'll tell you firsthand. If you said Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to cut a 5-minute promo every single Monday Night Raw or for consecutive Raws, and I didn't really have anything to talk about, kill myself off.
It's not going to work.
Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was super hot. So maybe it would have lasted a little bit longer. But if you don't have anything to talk about, anything to echo off of, and you're just out there talking.
Yeah. I mean, it's just tough. For me, the Undertaker thing still worked. The build-up to the Undertaker thing still worked for me. And maybe that was also part of it was because
I would have liked to see an Undertaker promo before that.
Yeah. Or something. A vignette, anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Just so I know he's going to be there because I saw him. And, of course, he's going to be there because it's WrestleMania, but still.
Yeah, they're not going to let Bray go to the ring and just, he didn't come.
I need one more thing to really set the hook.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, I see that. But, yeah, I feel like – and, getting back to Neville, I love Neville, by the way. I don't want anybody to get that wrong, because you talk about the way people move their bodies. Like, Neville has more control over his body than anybody I've ever seen. I
didn't like the finish that they did with him and Bad News Barrett.
Which one?
Well, at the Payback pay-per-view.
Right.
Now, Barrett's such a, good physique, powerful-looking guy, and he's going to pound out of the ring and take the count out. And, of course, you don't want to beat him. You just got to be the king of the ring.
Yeah.
Same token, you've already they beat him the next night on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
So they were going to beat him there.
But that's like when Barrett was the Intercontinental Champion, he was losing every week in non-title matches.
So I didn't like to finish that match, and I think you've really got something that could be real special there with Neville. And I thought they might put him in a tag team when they first brought him up from the NXT roster, because he's not the biggest guy in the world. But he looks great on television. He's a good-looking kid, got a great body, he can do all those moves, and at the end of the day, he can work.
Yeah.
He's not just a high spot artist. The guy can work his ass off. And so you do some promos or vignettes where let the narrator tell the story, and he's not speaking about himself because he doesn't seem to be real at home with the microphone yet. And so he doesn't need to heap praise upon himself because that would make him a braggart. But, it's almost like go back to the promos when I was getting ready to face Bret Hart and the dogs were barking. We were in a warehouse and there was voiceover work. But if it's someone else telling the story, that will get the kid over. But I see there's money with this kid, but they're going to kill him off if he don't get no wins, and they're just doing non-finishes.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to have that sort of doing all those impressive moves, but
if they ain't going to get you nowhere.
Right, you got to win, Matt. They can't be that impressive.
Yeah.
I don't care how many flips you do in the air.
Right.
If you kick out after that, why don't you just do a big splash?
Yeah.
Why don't you do a frog splash? Eddie Guerrero always won his matches,
Yeah. Well, it's time for me to eat again. We're going to end this illustrious podcast on this note. On Twitter, He's
at Not Sam.
At Not Sam, and his website is
NotSam.com.
And his radio show,
Sam Roberts Show.
And his YouTube channel,
Not Sam.
See, man, we got this down.
You didn't mention the
show together.
You didn't mention the podcast.
And your podcast,
Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast.
See, I had to get him to say, something. Hey, but Sam, before you leave, what's the haps?
See how great that makes me feel at ease.
What's the haps for this evening?
I don't know. We're gonna play it by ear. We're in Los Angeles. We're gonna live that LA lifestyle.
You ain't got no plans for dinner. I mean, there's all these restaurants around here. What do you eat? Just cheeseburgers and stuff? You eat anything you want?
You shouldn't. What? You shouldn't have asked me that at the end of the podcast. That's a whole other show. I got very weird. Not only do I have very weird eating tastes, I only eat a handful of foods, but they resulted in Mick Foley feeding me steak like a baby on the radio several years back.
Really?
Yeah. I only eat like chicken. I eat really shitty food.
Chicken ain't shitty.
It is when you deep fry it at a McDonald's.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
You like a chicken nuggets and stuff.
Yeah, no. I eat any kind of chicken.
What about KFC?
Love KFC.
No, I do too.
Love KFC.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to be honest. If I'm gonna, call it like it is, I prefer Popeyes.
Yeah.
That's me.
Oh, dude. See, a lot of people don't know about Popeyes.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of kick to it.
Yeah. I love Popeyes, but maybe that's also because they're tougher to find than KFC.
Yeah.
When I find a Popeyes, it's an instant stop.
Yeah.
The best chicken anywhere, political viewpoints aside, is Chick-fil-A. You can't beat a Chick-fil-A. Have you been to Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Amazing.
You just dump in a regular sandwich?
I always go to Chick-fil-A, get a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and 2 orders of nuggets for the fridge. Every time, because there's no Chick-fil-A's in New York.
So, dude, you live by yourself, right?
No, I live with my wife.
Oh, you're married?
Yeah.
Goddamn, I thought you were single.
Why is that?
No, I just thought you were single.
Yeah, no.
I never heard you say anything about her.
Yeah, well.
What, does she cook?
She does. She can, but, I mean, nothing that I want. We just throw
just missing all this fast food. I'm thinking this guy got to be single.
We throw some chicken on the Foreman sometimes, on the George Foreman grill.
And that's healthy chicken. That ain't fried chicken.
And throw some hot sauce on it, and that's that. But yeah, I mean, I eat fast food it's not crazy. Probably twice a week.
Like y'all got to be eating out of restaurants all the time.
Yeah, we'll get delivery or we'll just grill up some chicken.
Delivery, man. You got to like pizza.
I love pizza. That's it. Pizza and chicken.
There's a place right over here. It's within walking distance called South End Pizza. It's the best pizza in Los Angeles.
Yeah, but is it actually good? Because Los Angeles is not exactly known for great pizza.
Dude, if this pizza ain't good, come back to my house and I'll pay for the motherfucker. That's how good South End Pizza is.
Yeah. I might lie though, just so I can have an excuse to come back to 316 Gimmick Street.
If you go get the District 11, it's kind of like a Supreme, but it's just good shit.
That doesn't fit me.
So
I just get regular.
You like sushi?
No, come on, no.
Really?
Not even close. Yeah, no.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not adventurous when it comes to food. It's fuel, and that's it.
At the end of the day, I want to be here for a good time, not a long time.
Right.
I kind of want to make a compromise in there. I want to have as much fun as I can.
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, if you can't sample some of the fried chicken along the way,
it's not worth it.
Here. You ever go to a restaurant called Grandy's and get a double it's like a Salisbury steak almost. It's a double country fried steak.
I don't eat steak. I don't eat any kind of I don't eat.
It's like a cheap steak. It's not like a steak. It's just it's fried steak that you would dig.
I mean, I don't eat any meat. I eat chicken.
Chicken, that's it.
That's it, dude. I don't eat burgers. I don't eat.
Not even a shitty, greasy cheeseburger.
No,
it's all chicken.
I don't eat burgers.
What about the turkey?
I'll have like roasted turkey, sure.
Okay, what about hot dogs and corn dogs? Everybody loves a corn dog.
I don't eat hot dogs. I mean, I will if forced. I can handle it.
God.
Like if somebody is like, "This is all you're gonna," then maybe I can stomach one. Okay. But I'm not a hot dog guy either.
So it's just fried chicken and stuff.
Yeah, that's it, dude.
What about nachos and jalapenos with cheese and shit on them?
I like nachos, but I like them simple. I like cheese. Right. I can maybe handle a jalapeno or two, but no beans, no any of that stuff. Everybody wants to do their nachos supreme and put a bunch of shit on it, and I can't handle it.
What about ice cream?
I love ice cream. Ice cream, yeah. Junk food I'm really good with.
Right.
I can go and sample many different flavors of ice cream.
Dude, how do you remain so goddamn thin eating all that bullshit? It must be an act of God. It's a miracle.
It is. It's an act of God. All of me is an act of God.
Yeah.
I'm the way man was meant to be. I'm an idol.
So how long have you been married?
3 years.
So what did your wife think about your eating habits when y'all first met?
I think she could stand him a little bit when we first met, but all they've done is wear thin on her.
But she likes normal food, right?
Yeah, she likes person food. She likes, like, she wants to sample other foods. I told her we'll find somebody to sample them with. Like, I'm not going to...
Like, man, when I met my wife 11 or so years ago, I mean, she's a vegetarian. I come from a little town in South Texas. I never met a vegetarian until I met my wife.
Right.
All of a sudden, we're down in South Texas deer hunting. Of course, man, during deer season, everything's on. I rode through whatever it was, whether it's McDonald's, whether it's Whataburger, Burger King. I mean, I'm getting a fucking double gimmick cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And she tried to order a veggie burger because here in L.A. at the time they had veggie burgers. We get down here in South Texas. They're like, do you mean you want the hamburger with no meat in it? No, I want the veggie patty. And they're like, they ain't got no fucking veggie patty in South Texas 11 years ago.
They're going to give her a bun and some lettuce and tomato.
That was weird. But, I mean, here's the thing about my wife. She loves to cook.
Yeah.
Like that kitchen in there where I was making a protein shaker.
Right.
That's her zen.
Right.
And they're chopping shit up because that's her passion.
Yeah, my wife doesn't cook like that.
So, I mean, can't she cook anything for you? I mean, just drop chicken in the fryer and you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want anything cooked for me. I'm good. Like, I don't need any...
So you could eat takeout or drive-through or whatever, 24/7, 365, and be happy as a clam.
Yeah, I mean, at some point I'd probably look for some kind of healthy alternative just because my body would start to reject me.
What would that healthy alternative be?
Just something that's grilled instead of... I'd probably go to the diner and just say, can you grill the chicken?
Right.
Or I'd throw some chicken on the foreman, and that's it. Put some hot sauce on it, and that's that.
Well, dude, I mean, but chicken thighs are great, even if you grill those, because they still got the fat in them.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
They're better than a chicken breast.
But I was telling... I mean, since I've been here, I've been eating... It's not even great food. It's just normal food. Like, I had an organic grilled cheese. I don't know what makes that different from a regular grilled cheese. It's an organic, but it was organic, and then I went and had some legitimate Italian food, chicken, obviously. And then I had, like, some breakfast from an organic place. I was like, enough. I got to go to a McDonald's. I got to. I started feeling withdrawals.
What about French fries and onion rings?
Love them both. I'll get it.
Tater tots.
Love tater tots.
Yeah.
Love tater tots.
If you was going to say you didn't like tater tots, I was going to throw you through the window.
That would have been it.
Yeah, that was it. I could just toss down 316 Gimmick Street.
Yeah, you would have snapped my back through that tree.
You're big on the Golden Arches. What about Wendy's makes a goddamn good.
I mean, Wendy's is. I'm literally there at least once a week.
Okay.
There's right by where I work.
Some of their chili? Or you're not?
No. It's number 6 with no mayo. Right. Spicy chicken, no mayo.
There you go.
It's
they make a pretty good spicy chicken sandwich.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's mine.
I get it without the mayo, but it's always number 6
Burger
spicy
King,
chicken.
Rocky Boat, any?
I'm good with Burger King. A tender crisp, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And Chipotle too. I can handle Chipotle.
What they got over there?
They got. Have you had Chipotle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get chicken, lettuce, tomato, cheese. That's it on a burrito.
But the Golden Arches.
No beans, no rice.
You got to get them as a sponsor for the Sirius show or the podcast.
Yeah, let them know you've got an advocate.
Sam Roberts likes the Golden Arches, McDonald's.
I mean, if it was up to me, we'd fly across the country and hit up an Applebee's. Like, I like to know what I'm going to get before I go in.
Hey, man, you ever gone to Texas? And I think I might have some up here. I just know we got them over there. You ever gone to a Sonic?
Yeah, you know where I went to a Sonic was in Kentucky. I have family in Kentucky. And they have lots of Sonics in Kentucky.
And you don't like a chicken fried steak?
No, I don't eat steak.
You're communist. What the fuck?
I know
it, man.
Yeah, and that's what Mick Foley came in because Opie and Anthony couldn't believe any of this stuff when I was telling them. And I was young at that point. It was probably 6 or 7 years ago. But I was new to them, and still doing whatever I could do to get on the air and all that. But they were like, well, what if we have one of your wrestling heroes come in and feed it to you? I'm like, I can't handle it. I don't care who comes in. They're like, well, all right, well, Mick Foley's going to come in then. And Mick Foley came in and had steak and rice, and he was feeding me like a baby. Here comes the choo-choo train. And they were just watching me just gag and puke on this steak and rice that they were all enjoying.
So, I mean, it's almost like a bad reaction or allergic reaction to the beef?
It's all psychological.
I got you.
It's not allergic. It's psychological for sure.
Okay, what about desserts? Man, I mean, I love some cheesecake, donuts.
Love donuts.
There you go.
Love donuts.
My man, we're going to knuckle up right here. Touch your knuck. Goddamn, if you just said you didn't like donuts, I was going to toss you through the broke window that I tossed you through on the tater tots.
Drag me through the shattered glass and back through. Yeah, no. I love donuts. I'm never going to turn down a donut.
I love you.
Yeah.
Sam Roberts in a straight way. Hey, it's Not Sam on Twitter, notsam.com. around me. He's got an award-winning podcast, which ain't won no awards yet, but goddamn, I'm sure it's going to way down the road. I'm looking at the bright side. The glass is half full with this motherfucker. Full of charm and charisma, information, and a lot of bullshit, too. And that makes for a good podcast.
Yeah.
It's the Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast, and you can check that out on Stitcher. And where else can you?
iTunes, notsam.com, everywhere.
Well, man, continued good luck and with success with your show there on Sirius XM. I always like talking to you. I'm glad you stopped by the studios here to shoot the breeze. Y'all know my name is Steve Austin. We're doing the Steve Austin Show with Sam Roberts. It's Steve Austin once again.
You got to set it up again, Steve. You got to set it up again. Somebody's in your headphones. Set up.
All right, Sam's going to head to McDonald's. I'm going to go get me, I think I got some fish in there. I'm still trying to drop about 10 or 15 LBs for the Broken Skull Challenge, which starts in about 2 weeks. I don't think I'm going to make it, Sam.
No? Why you got to drop 10 or 15?
I don't know. I just thought if I slim down the waist, widen the shoulders a little bit, that the shoulders don't get wider, so I got to shrink the waist down. It's an optical illusion.
You know what you do?
What?
Go to McDonald's and throw a fleece on. They'll never know how heavy or skinny you are. Get Annie Leibovitz to shoot the thing.
I was going to film Redneck Island a couple months ago, 6-8 months ago, whenever the hell it was, and I was trimming up. I was putting my shorts on and getting all my shit ready. It's all camouflage and plaid. And my wife says, well, maybe you should try some Spanx. I said, I pulled a Booker T line on. I said, tell me you did not just say wear some Spanx. Stone Cold don't wear. I don't live my life as Stone Cold, but I said Stone Cold don't wear no goddamn Spanx.
Right.
You can Sam, come on.
I knew you didn't live your life as Stone Cold when I used your bathroom and saw lavender soap. I said, Stone Cold uses lavender soap.
Man, my wife, when she goes to Zumba class, she got the lavender. I got some in my car out there in the center console. She got a big old gimmick thing of lavender, so all of her friends will come over to her after Zumba class, and she's like the mother hen squirting all the lavender antibacterial stuff.
Right.
Get their hands clean. So, yeah, I rock the lavender and try to show a different side of myself when people get here to see how Steve Austin does it in real life.
Yeah, how we do on 316 Gimmick Street.
Hey, man, I like lavender like a motherfucker.
Good for you.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
This September, CBS hits are streaming free on Pluto TV.
I'm coming in.
For this month only, stream full episodes of Matlock,
I'm a lawyer, like the old TV show.
Fire Country, Elsbeth,
I do love a mystery.
NCIS Origins, Watson, and Ghosts.
What the hell?
This is the most amazing sight I've never seen.
All for free. The CBS shows you love, this month only on Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.